Hello, good morning, good afternoon to those joining in the UK or elsewhere in Europe. Please feel free to ask any questions throughout into the comment box, and I'll answer them when I can. It'd be great to find out a little bit about where everyone is joining. So please do feel free to put some chat into the private chat box. Let me know where you're joining from. We'll just give it a few minutes just to wait until everyone joins, and then we'll get going with just covering my live launch of our talent and insight report for Elixir, which is very exciting. I know some of you would have already seen the document that we produced when it got released earlier on in the year, but just great to be able to sort of give something back to the community and a way for us to sort of show as well how serious we are in Elixir, with Elixir, and how much we want to be a part of the community moving forwards. Just going to give it a couple more minutes, wait for a few more people to join, but then we'll get going in a second. Just a bit of an intro into my background. So I have almost 8 years of recruitment experience overall. I've worked in multiple different sectors previously. I've worked in hardware, electronics, firmware. I've done a lot in the embedded systems sector before, C++ programming, robotics, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and for the last year I've been specializing exclusively with Elixir, which has been great. Just joining a language which a year ago I've seen a lot of rise in, a lot of progression in Elixir and in the first year, which has been great, and just sort of seeing how it's progressing and where it's going is it's very, very exciting. We started our Elixir journey back in May last year, and we've been able to secure some great clients, companies in the fintech sector, a couple of clients in the health tech sector, and we're continuously sort of looking to grow our client portfolio, and we work with startups alongside more established entities as well. It's a very exciting time at understanding recruitment, but also in the Elixir community. I know the Elixir conference is coming up on Thursday this week, which is very exciting. Me and my team are actually going to be off to Lisbon on Thursday morning, so we're going to be a part of the 2-day event. So we're very excited for that. Anyone that is going to be joining in Lisbon, please mention something in the chat line, so I know who's joining. And like I said, anyone that is going, it would be great to meet you in person and talk through our plans, and also sort of what you're looking for, whether you're going to be looking for a new role in Elixir, or whether you're sort of looking to scale a team that you're a part of at the moment. It'd just be great to get the chance to talk all things Elixir, and we're still trying to learn as well. So we're trying to speak to as many Elixir professionals as possible, and just try and understand the market a bit better, and like I said, really immerse ourselves within the community, because that's one of the things that I've enjoyed the most about, is seeing how tight-knit the community still is. Anything that we can do to offer our expertise is something that we're very very keen to do. So starting off, like I said, many of you may have seen this already, but this is our 2023 Elixir Talent Salary and Insight Report. I think that insight word is quite important, because it really does give a good idea of not only the salaries and talent that's available, but a good idea of sort of what trends we've seen in the market, and also where things are going as well. So yeah, very excited to bring this to you. I mean, primarily our report is based for the UK, Europe, and USA. I do appreciate, and I have had people speak to me before about producing a report for the LATAM region, Australasia, Asia, and if the demand is there, we are very happy to produce reports to cover the rest of the world as well. So that is definitely something that we will look to sort of bring out in the near future. But for now, our talent report mainly focuses on the UK, Europe, and USA. So yeah, I mean, it's been we've been focusing on Elixir for the last year, and I mean, there's a few really amazing things to consider when you think about Elixir, and it's still in the infancy phase of where it is, or compared to other languages out there. But already you can see Elixir ranked as the 6th highest average salary on offer across all techs, which I think is pretty cool. The salary, it's still quite niche, which is why I think the salaries are still quite high. This may go down once it becomes more sort of mainstream, but I think it's impressive nonetheless. And given Elixir's capabilities, partnered with Phoenix and LiveView, and what it's able to offer developers and platforms, hopefully can only see more people doing Elixir, and the salary sort of staying the same, if not growing a little bit more as well. And in just 1 year alone, there's been a 21-year growth in professionals taking up Elixir, and we are expecting this and have already seen further growth in 2023, which is great. The US and Europe already have quite a large marketplace for Elixir, not large in comparison to other languages like JavaScript, Python, etc., but large in context when you consider how long Elixir's actually been around for. The UK is starting to make sort of headway. There's more Elixir developers, more companies are starting to use Elixir as their tech stack. But yeah, the US and Europe are already in a pretty good place. There's some other really interesting things that we've come across as well. Phoenix was the most loved framework that developers liked working with. And this is ahead of frameworks such as ASP.NET, Svelte, Next.js, React.js, Node.js. So the fact Phoenix is already up there, and Elixir works so well with Phoenix, is a huge sort of benefit for Elixir developers. And again, from another Stack Overflow survey that we sort of picked up from, Elixir is the 2nd most loved language. Again, when you consider how many other languages there are out there, and Elixir still being in its infancy and already being the 2nd most loved language, I think is a testament to where Elixir is and what it can offer. And it's only scratching the surface of where it can go as well because of its infancy. And again, Elixir is ahead of the likes of Clojure, TypeScript, Python, Go, C#, as the most loved language. So great trends that you can already see in the language. And I mean, with those sorts of numbers and the 1-year growth that you're seeing, it's inevitable that Elixir is only going to become more popular. More companies are going to start using it, which means more developers are going to start taking it, even more seriously, which is something to look forward to. And another thing, because Elixir now has full stack capabilities, we're not just seeing Elixir roles in the backend side, we're seeing full stack developers or full stack developer roles needing Elixir as a key skill. But Elixir is so flexible that it can come under a multiple of different sort of job titles in the market. So you're seeing software developer or software engineers, senior software engineers, full stack engineers, back-end developers, staff software engineers, the lead software developers, principal level technical leads, and then the web development and senior developer side. So Elixir is becoming, everywhere, which is great. And like I said, I mean, there's so many different titles that you can sort of work from by being an Elixir developer, which is something to look out for. So I mean, we picked these numbers out from LinkedIn Insights. They've given us as accurate as figures as they have on the breakdown of Elixir developers out there. Again, as I touched on earlier, the USA and Europe seem to be quite a long way ahead of the UK in terms of professionals using Elixir. As you can see, Europe has quite an impressive number of Elixir developers. And USA is pretty strong as well. UK slightly further behind, but again, hopefully we're seeing some trends. We're seeing more companies in the UK starting to recruit for Elixir, which will mean that there'll be more UK developers, which means those numbers will increase. And the more time that goes on, Elixir is only going to become more prominent in Europe and USA. So we expect all those numbers to go up quite considerably in 2023. So really looking forward to sort of seeing the exact rise at the beginning of 2024 and seeing where things have developed in the last year. With the gender split, I feel like it's kind of industry wide, with male obviously being the more dominant gender when it comes to Elixir developers, with the UK up 86%, Europe 90%, and USA 88%. What I would say is that we are seeing sort of more and more sort of women in tech numbers go up. With the women in tech issue becoming more and more important, again, I think we'll see those male dominated percentages come down, and hopefully there will be a bit more of a closer match by even 2024 when it comes to the gender split. So that's something to look forward to as well. And again, Elixir being at 1.6 years for the median tenure is slightly above average, and I think that's because of the nicheness of Elixir. And when they find a strong company offering full-time Elixir work, it's going to have to be a pretty good opportunity to start turning their heads. So even though that number hopefully is going to go up, still compared to other sort of tech stacks out there, Elixir is doing pretty well at that 1.6 mark, and hopefully in time that will sort of go up further. But it's an interesting one, because those that use and are familiar with Elixir know the benefits, know the capabilities of the language. But I mean, those that haven't necessarily used Elixir or show some skepticism towards it, I feel that is maybe coming from more stubborn developers who sort of fail to see the benefits and are more sort of stuck in their ways. But as anything, the more popular something gets, everyone else will start sort of using it, which is where things will sort of definitely get to at some point in the near future. And again, I mean, key locations, there are Elixir developers everywhere. Everywhere in Europe you'll find Elixir developers. Everywhere in the UK, some part you'll find Elixir developers. But the key sort of hubs that LinkedIn have sort of caught up on as being the key cities, the UK, I mean, they're all major UK cities: London, Bristol, Leeds, Manchester, Edinburgh. And then in Europe as well, France, Germany, Sweden. We know that we have worked with some companies in Norway as well, Finland. Portugal's becoming a real tech hub. and Lisbon is certainly coming into its own. But from what we've seen, Germany, France, Netherlands, Sweden, some real Elixir hubs there. But like I said, I mean, every country has Elixir developers, and like looking to Estonia as well. I know YOLO Group are from Estonia, and they have a large contingent of Elixir developers there, and also in the areas like Serbia and Montenegro and Czech Republic, which is really good to see. And in the US, again, the major cities, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, Boston, New York. But again, there is lots of Elixir talent in every state in the US. These are just some of the main sort of hubs that we've sort of seen, and LinkedIn has sort of backed us up on, which has been interesting. And again, I mean, one of the most, and having spoken to a lot of Elixir developers, and having heard feedback on this report previously, there seems to be a bit of amazement in some of the companies that are using Elixir. I mean, some of the biggest companies out there have incorporated or have integrated Elixir into their tech stacks because of what it can offer. In the UK, again, UK is slightly lagging behind Europe and the US, but we are very confident that this is going to go up in time. But you've still got companies like Multiverse, Meta, Duffel, Fresher, Prima, and Smart Pension. They're all big companies in the UK, and they all have big contingencies of Elixir developers. And they're only adding as well. I mean, they're seem to be going from strength to strength, and in Europe as well, some similar names with Prima, who I know are Italian based initially, but have developers everywhere. KBRW over in France. Now, their KBRW are quite unique in the respect that they do all of their Elixir training in-house. So they will hire developers with any background, as long as you sort of have a passion and a want to learn Elixir. They'll do all the sort of in-house teaching on Elixir, which is awesome, and what I'm trying to say is, KBRW are real. Seem to be developing a lot with Elixir, which is great. YOLO Group is there as well. Fresher, Remote again, and Cabify, another company which seem to have a big Elixir contingency, which has been good to see. And then the US, when you start coming to the really, really big companies, the likes of Amazon, Google, AWS, Microsoft, Divi, Apple. When you look at Amazon at nearly 90 professionals, that's quite a huge outlay. But again, whether it be sort of fresh startups or very established major organizations, there is a place for Elixir developers at any company that has a back-end system or a full stack system that needs efficiency and reliability. So the universities that are producing the most Elixir talent, a lot of boot camps are sort of offering Elixir courses, and because of its popularity and those that have already been to or had an education, but not focused on Elixir, but want to start using Elixir, these boot camps are coming into play, which gives developers, a chance to pick up a new language rapidly, which is obviously very popular to those that have already been to or already have an education but want to enhance their skill set. But 52% of Elixir professionals hold a bachelor degree, 38% hold a master's degree, and in the UK, again, some impressive universities: Imperial, University of Oxford, Manchester, University of Dundee, and then the Open University, all have Elixir developers coming out of them. And then in Europe, KTH, Royal Institute of Technology, AGH, Epitech, the University of Tartu, and NTNU as well. But KTH, yeah, a lot of Elixir developers seem to be coming out of there. So something to be wary of if you're in Europe or looking to, go back to school or get a master's or whatever that may be. And then in the US, the University of Florida, Northeastern, BYU, Georgia, and Berkeley. Again, some major colleges there that some really strong Elixir developers are coming out of, which is, again, just something to keep an eye on and something to be, if you have studied software development and Elixir and come out of one of those universities, then definitely seems to be the main sorts of hubs for Elixir. Again, when it comes to the titles of Elixir developers, it is quite varied. Again, there are lots of degrees that you can do, which end up ending with coming out with a good knowledge of Elixir. You've got computer science, IT. Work with some really strong developers who study in mathematics, and that they highlight their mathematical background and the way they think links in well to programming. So you can see that that relationship there. Computational science, computer engineering, informatics, computer software engineering, and computer and information sciences as well. So again, there's lots of degrees out there where you can go and get a really good understanding of Elixir, sort of coming out of there and into your sort of first job or whatever that may be. Yeah, so again, this is a really cool little graph that we've been able to put together, which sort of shows the fastest changing Elixir teams in the industry. So some people have asked me that this wasn't specific to Elixir. So this is specific to Elixir. So these are the companies that have hired the most Elixir developers in the last year. So as you can see, a company like Gridpoint, who have been able to go through 1,000% 1 year growth over the last year, is extremely impressive. And you can see the drop that comes down just to second place with Walnut.io. Now, Walnut are one of them which they're based in the US, but I know that they have developers they hire remotely, whether it be in Europe, UK, anywhere in the world. They seem to hire, which is great. But then some other companies in there, The Score, who I know are very impressive. They're up in Sweden, and they've got an amazing company, and they have a large contingent of Elixir developers as well. So they look like they're only going to be hiring more and more on the Elixir side. And there are some names on there: Shopify, Fanatics. Any of you sports lovers who like to get your sports apparel, Fanatics is definitely a company that you should be aware of. And then Stealth Startup is another company which, I know they have a large contingent of Elixir developers and have really, really developed quite a long way over the last sort of 5-10 years. So again, just thought it was a really cool, just a cool graph to show you all the 1 year growth that these companies are sort of putting into Elixir. And if their 1 year growth is that, then you'd like to think that looking towards the future, it's only going to get a little bit stronger, and those lines are going to go even more in the upward trajectory, which would be good. And then so what are we seeing in the market? A growing Elixir is growing in popularity. Daily it seems. That might be a bit short-sighted, but certainly year to year, I think I mentioned earlier the 21% growth that Elixir has seen in the last year alone. And there's a lot of reasons this could be, but it's dynamic. It builds scalable, maintainable applications. I mean, the tooling system that Elixir allows, it allows developers to be productive in several different domains. They can be a part of web development, embedded software, data pipelines, multimedia processing, and this all happens across a wide range of industries as well. So Elixir allows a lot, essentially. And yeah, I mean, one of the things we're seeing is more companies looking to return to more of an in-office environment. Well, I know that candidates and the option of working hybrid or fully remote has been excellent, and they've loved it. And there's a lot of benefits for that. But I mean, companies are starting to integrate developers back into the office. And I feel like that's going to be, huge in the coming months and years ahead, whether developers are actually happy going back to the office now that they've sort of worked hybrid or worked fully remote. So yeah, I mean, key factors in terms of talent being attracted, I mean, still offering fully remote work is one that is going to be a massive perk in the coming years. But like I said, you should be more open to sort of the hybrid aspect. And like I said, those that want to still be going into the office, I think you should be able to have that opportunity. So yeah, that's going to be definitely something to keep an eye on in the coming months and years ahead. Along with obviously the option to work remote or flexible, you have the salary and benefits, which, yeah, I mean, depending on where you are, is massive. In the US, I know some of the salaries are incredible over there. But then interesting work is, of course, but I feel like with Elixir, if you're working with Elixir, then you're going to be doing interesting work. So that should come with just working with Elixir in general. And then obviously culture is a big thing. And I know that companies as well are putting a lot of emphasis on developers being the right culture fit for their team. And I think people have said that for a long time, but I think even more so now with the added remote option, you've got to really show that you're going to be a good culture fit, because, companies need to see that trust, knowing that you're going to be able to fit into the environment, work effectively, and be an essential part of the team moving forward. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where the remote hybrid in-office work sort of falls in the months to come. But that's definitely something that we've seen is still making a massive difference to developers and the roles that they want to apply for and what they're not interested in. So yeah, looking forward to seeing where that goes. And again, what tech do Elixir developers want to use? So programmers in the market, most developers, even though I'm not a developer, I get the sense that they want to work with a tech that is fun, easy to use, meets modern user demands, offers rewarding career progression, has an active and supportive community, which Elixir absolutely does, a range of helpful tooling, frameworks to allow full stack development, which again, Elixir now has the capabilities to offer, and ensures their own growth, which is important for anyone that has any aspirations. They want to go somewhere which they believe can take them to the next level. So yeah, just some things that we saw programmers look for as, what they see as important in the tech that they want to use. And then what are the factors causing this talent to look for new jobs? Again, I feel like the working environment is one of them for sure. Just to go over it again, I know that working from home is the preference for a lot of developers out there. So that may be the difference between, going for a job that is fully remote and potentially one that maybe has better prospects but needs in-office attendance. So that's just one of the sort of dilemmas people are going to have to look at moving forwards. And then obviously higher salaries, and with Elixir becoming more and more prominent, I think you can expect to see more and more Elixir jobs come out there. Bonuses, equity is another big thing, and a lot of the startups that we work with usually offer some really strong bonuses and equity options, stock options, which everyone is starting to look for. Joining fees, which is a little bit more rare, but for some companies they can offer these. And if it's a deal breaker between a candidate accepting a job and not accepting a job, I think that joining fees is again something which comes into play. Strong benefits on offer. Greater flexibility with working, as we've already sort of highlighted, more interesting companies and projects, better career prospects, and greater autonomy. And the autonomy option is one that is definitely worth talking about, because again, I feel like strong developers back their own talents, and I feel like being offered autonomy and the trust to get on with your own projects and your own work is something that, is quite a good sell. So again, another pretty big factor, which is causing, Elixir Talent to look for new jobs. Yeah, and again, on the benefits side, you feel like a good salary and benefits is very, very is one of the most important facets. I'd say a good salary, benefits, and remote working, hybrid working, they're the main sort of things that professionals are starting to look for in new employers. An appealing company culture, a good work-life balance is very important now as well. Flexible working. I mean, usually, even if a company is asking for their employees to return to work, there should still be some flexibility there. And organizations are aware of this. So I feel like there is greater flexibility when it comes to working. And again, it's something to look out for when joining a new employer, what the working situation is like. And then again, greater autonomy and career prospects again is very high up on the what you should be looking for in a new employer. And then again, the benefits, I mean, it does really vary from company to company. I mean, typically, in terms of a bonus, typically companies offer, some companies pay between 15 and 25%, but typically you're looking around the 10% mark, especially in the UK. When you're sort of going to the US, I appreciate that the share options and equity and pension becomes a little bit more prevalent with the 401k coming into effect. And then again, private health, dental insurance, life insurance, and then an acceptable or nice holiday allowance. I mean, the more the better, but I mean, usually companies are pretty aware of their employees' well-being, so their holidays are usually a pretty good level. And then other things to consider: sabbaticals, enhanced parental leave, and full equipment setup, which I'm starting to see a lot more of as well. Companies that are hiring developers are giving them a budget to spend for laptop screens, accessories, all that, which I think is a lovely little perk if you're joining a new company and you're getting a full equipment set installed, and that's going to be a nice little perk to have. And then again, which are most important to them? So the good work-life balance, flexible working, attractive pension, and excellent compensation and benefits. And to be honest with you, if those four hit the mark, then you're in a pretty good spot. And again, which employer value propositions are most important to them? So again, this is just a breakdown of basically everything that we've just discussed, and those that have, obviously the good work-life balance is right at the top. There's no surprises there. And then the three following behind it, we've commented already. But yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit surprised that good work-life balance isn't a little higher, because I feel like everyone looks for a good work-life balance alongside the compensation and benefits. I would say that those two are probably the most important sort of facets for employers. So, yeah, I mean, again, I'm slightly surprised that those two aren't a little bit higher, but I'm not surprised to see them at the top. And then as you go down the list, challenging work, employees that have influence over their task and priorities, open and effective management, company with purposeful missions, and then at the bottom there, a role that meaningfully impacts the company's success, which again, I'm actually a little bit surprised that that's not a little bit higher as well. But yeah, I mean, they are the majority of the things that employees value as most important to them. So yeah. And again, just to highlight, so those stats were from 2020 to 2021, so they're a little bit outdated, but still relevant. And then the salary guide, which I know is going to be important for a lot of people, especially if you're looking to move jobs. Yeah, I mean, the UK and Europe are you'd look at them and say they're fairly standard for the industry. It's when you start getting to the US and start seeing those salaries that you can see the difference in pay, and possibly that's linked to where USA is compared to the UK in terms of how many companies are using Elixir, how many Elixir developers are out there. But yeah, I mean, juniors, again, if you're in the UK or Europe, you should be looking anywhere up to the sort of 40K mark. As a mid-level, anything post 50K and up towards 60, 70K is around the right sort of level. And then the senior lead principal, it's quite a large gap because different companies have different pay scales. But at the top end of that sort of lead principal developer side, you are looking post 100K, I would say. And then anything sort of upwards to director, VP, managerial, executive level, yeah, between sort of 150 to 250K. But again, it is company dependent, but they're the sorts of roles that you'll be getting, above the sort of 150 mark. And then just to touch on the US, again, if you're a junior in the US with 6 months Elixir experience, you'd probably fall into that between 80 and 120 mark. And then again, mid-levels looking really strong. But then when you get to senior lead principal and the levels above that, that's when you're sort of looking at it. Yeah, everything. I'd be surprised if you came across one of those roles which was offering less than 150K. But I mean, at that executive level, seeing salaries 300, 400K. So yeah, that's again, just a little bit of a guidance on salary and what we've seen on the market. We've also taken some figures from LinkedIn as well. So yeah, I mean, that's sort of what we're seeing in the market when it comes to salaries. But again, things will change next year, and we'll update you on those for sure. And yeah, just to reiterate, those that are looking for new jobs in Elixir, or if you are a lead of an Elixir team and looking to scale, please do get in touch. My details are on screen at the moment. Keen to speak to, like I said, anyone looking for a new job in Elixir or anyone looking to scale their Elixir team. Really keen to talk and see what we can offer. And obviously those that are going to the Elixir conference on Thursday in Lisbon, looking forward to seeing you all then. So we're going to move on to a bit of a Q&A session here. So anyone that has any questions, obviously feel free to pop the questions in the private chat box, and I can answer those as and when they come up. Like I said, it would be great to hear from anyone that's going to be in Lisbon this week, just to, just have a chat, all things Elixir, and just looking forward to being amongst the community. So it would be great if, like I said, anyone out there listening today is going to be there in Lisbon and would be keen to have 5-10 minutes chat or grab a drink or whatever it may be, just to sort of talk all things Elixir. Awesome. I'm just looking through now at some of the comments that we had. Just someone joining from South Africa, which is awesome. I know Brazil have a very, very strong Elixir contingent, so no surprises to see anyone from Brazil joining. Sanjana in India, I know again Elixir has quite a large Elixir contingent in India, so good to have you here. Bahrain, hi Mardi, thank you for joining. Oleg from Germany, hope things are going well. Yeah, thank you all for joining. So just a quick question. I mean, to those that are still online, put a question out to you guys. Where do you think the capabilities that Elixir has at the moment, where do you think they can be improved moving forwards? So just to re-ask that question, where do you think Elixir can improve? What capabilities is it potentially lacking slightly that might help the language improve its capabilities? Thanks, Jacek. Performance capabilities. Yeah, you're not the first person I've heard say that, Jacek. Where it can be a bit of a pain with bigger projects, the times can get out of hand. What do you think? Is there a solution that you could? I mean, what would you sort of say would improve that aspect of Elixir? Is there anything that Elixir could change, like I said, to enable bigger projects to get the best out of it? Yeah, I like that, Bogdan. Yeah, I know that .NET have that sort of approach, so maybe integrating that would definitely help. I know, Bogdan, you're joining us from Serbia, I believe, if that's correct. Nice to see you. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. I haven't made too much of a fool of myself going LinkedIn Live for the first time. Yeah, it's a really good point. Again, Jacek, projects like Gleam, which is one that I've heard of. Quite a few people have mentioned that to me, which aim to add the type safety to the language. Yeah, it is a tough question. I suppose there's no right or wrong. Sorry, Bogdan. Yeah, Bosnia, that was it. I know my colleague Ollie's been working with you on a couple of roles. Thank you for, I mean, those that are sort of coming in now with, mentioning that they're looking for new roles. I can follow up after I've finished with the LinkedIn Live, but also just pop me through a LinkedIn connection if you're not connected with me. If you are, just pop me through another message. But otherwise, I'll make sure that I address those directly. And just a question: those that are looking for new jobs, I mean, what do we think of the salary ranges that Elixir is offering? Obviously, in the US, they're very strong. I appreciate though it's probably 5 a.m. or earlier for a lot of US states, so they might not be online. So more of a question, yeah, to everyone else. I mean, how are you finding the salaries? Do you think they're in alignment to other tech stacks out there, or do you think that you should be paying it do you think the base salaries should be a little bit more than what they are? Be interested to get people's thoughts on that as well. Yeah, just sec. You're coming in with some excellent points here. Again, some best practices, creating systems of microservices akin to Spring Boot could help with the velocity in a bigger system. Yeah, very true. Yeah, most people are winging it right now. Thank you, Reshu. Yes, I'll make sure I definitely come back to you. Thank you. And it's there is an NX package in Elixir. How fast growth do you see in machine learning area? It's a really interesting question. I'm already seeing, I mean, we've had actually a few organizations come to us in the last month or so who are more sort of data science houses with a strong contingent of machine learning, computer vision, AI stuff, and they're starting to look on the Elixir side as well. So in answer to that, I'm starting to see more companies, more machine learning focused companies looking at Elixir for their full stack capabilities as well. So I'm starting to see that already actually in ITSA. And we've had a few companies come to us recently with some needs in this area. So yeah, that's coming about fast, it seems. But it makes sense with Elixir's capabilities and what machine learning can offer. It does seem like there is a strong match there. So it's definitely coming into fruition. I presume that last comment was someone in the US, which is great. So yeah, appreciate that. Just out of curiosity, whereabouts in the US are you, and what time exactly is it? Yeah, there really is, and there's a massive difference between the UK and Europe, which I think is kind of similar, and then to the US. You're right; it's chalk and cheese when you're talking about the salary disparities. I mean, you're doubling your pay packet essentially if you're in the US. But I know that, I mean, a lot of US companies pay very, very well. So I mean, that's just the norm over there. Whereas I think over here it's not. So Elixir is still in the sort of range where other back end, front end languages are in terms of what it can offer on salary in the UK and Europe. I think it's similar to other ones out there. But I think I remember, yeah, it's still sixth out of all the tech stacks out there. So all things considered, it's not too bad. But yeah, just it's very it's aligned with other tech stacks essentially, whereas the US is, quite a long way ahead. But that is potentially because, yeah, they do just pay a lot more in general. Cool. Well, if there are any more questions, please do come in now. I'm going to wrap this up in the next few minutes unless I sort of hear back from anyone. So yeah, like I said, this is my first LinkedIn Live on Elixir. So apologies if it didn't go absolutely as planned. There are a few sort of moments in there that I couldn't think of the exact word that I wanted to say, so I got a little bit lost. But essentially, I mean, I put together the salary report. So everything that's on that document, I've gone away and done the research on. So yeah, apologies if it was a little bit slow or stiff coming out, but yeah, it was lovely to be able to get to present this to all of you, and we're going to put another LinkedIn Live together in the coming future. So I'll let you all know about that. But again, really, really appreciate everyone joining today, and yeah, certainly given me a great experience moving forward to my next one, and yeah, appreciate that. Or just Sex coming in again. Do you see trends? Yeah, it's an interesting one, that just Sec. It really is sort of year by year. It is I mean, with the economy changing all the time, it has been changing. I mean, at the beginning of last year, it was an amazing market. Even towards the middle, and yeah, Q1, Q2, and I'd even say parts of Q3 were very good hiring. But this year, Q1's been quite slow. So whereas last year it was very good around this time of the year, this year it's a little bit slower. So I think it does change. But I mean, usually anytime sort of a company has its start of its new financial year is when you see sort of more hiring, because they have a bigger budget to play with. But I mean, it is very sort of hit and miss. I mean, the start of this year has been a little bit quiet, so we're very much expecting sort of May, June, July, August, September, October to be, pretty busy. So, I mean, we can only see what happens there, but I think it's year by year, case by case with that. So, yeah, I mean, again, we'll have to see what happens, but yeah, we are. Jalapa, Mexico, or Jose joining from Mexico. Just spent a few weeks ago, I was in Tulum in Mexico for a couple of weeks. Very interested in my Mayan history, so yeah, absolutely loved Mexico. So thank you for joining, Jose. Yeah, again, it's an interesting question from Jacek regarding the contracting and consulting side of things. To be honest, from what I've seen, companies are primarily looking to bring on permanent members of staff for their Elixir team. I haven't seen that many contracting roles or 6-month roles or consulting opportunities, which is a bit of a strange one. So I don't know whether I think maybe when the language becomes more mainstream, you might see more contracting and consulting opportunities come around. But at the moment, I think still because of where Elixir is in terms of its infancy, those companies that are committing to using Elixir as its tech stack know that they're going to need permanent Elixir developers. So I think for them, what I'm seeing is more companies look for permanent members of staff. But like I said, when maybe it becomes a little bit more mainstream is when you'll start seeing more contracting and consulting opportunities come, especially on the contracting side, because at that point, companies will already have had their Elixir stack, put together. And, if they're desperate for someone to come in, then they're going to need, someone a bit quicker than what it might take to get a permanent member of staff in. So that's when you'll see the contracting and the consulting sort of options come in a little bit more. But yeah, I'll just give everyone else a minute or two if they've got any more sort of questions or anything else that they sort of want to ask me or want to include regarding their own experiences in the market. That would always help. Because granted, I'm not a developer. So even though I've got, you know, eight years worth of tech recruitment experience, I've never been sort of hands-on development. So, you know, anything that anyone else can give me in terms of how they're sort of finding the market, or anything technically they're seeing, would be much appreciated. I'll just give you guys a couple of minutes to come back to me on that. I'm not seeing anything, so I might start wrapping this up. But again, just wanted to let everyone know, just really appreciate everyone coming on this morning. Like I said, it was my first LinkedIn Live, so might have been a bit wooden at times, struggling to find the right word, but yeah, really appreciate everyone joining. And, you know, speaking on behalf of Understanding Recruitment, you know, we're very, very serious about Elixir as, you know, going to be a major player in the tech languages, sort of, well, it is already now, but looking to the future as well. So anything that we can do to, you know, give to the community, and, you know, we'll look to hold more LinkedIn Lives, and we're really looking forward to the conference on Thursday. I didn't get anyone actually comment on the conference and whether they're going to be in Portugal on Thursday. So again, please do let me know if you are, because it would be great to sort of go from there and arrange a meetup if you are going to be in Portugal. But yeah, again, thank you very much, and yeah, speak to you all soon. If there's anyone I haven't answered questions from, and you do, and I might have missed some, in which I apologize, please get in touch with me directly, and we can continue our chat from there. All right, cool. Thanks very much, everyone. Cheers.